Hey, happy Tuesday, all you cool cats and kittens. Today we're going to do something similar to what we did yesterday when we did pyramids, except this time I'm going to call it pyramids backwards. Yesterday it was all about finding the lateral area, surface area, and volume, and today that's where we're going to start. So, for example, in this pyramid, I'm given the lateral area. The lateral area of this square pyramid is 8,580. Now, just like it was yesterday, most of these shapes are going to be, actually all of them are going to be square bases. So uh, the way we do this is going to work pretty much the same equations, except, well, we're starting from a different place. The length of the base is 66, and find the volume. So my strategy here is use what you're given in the beginning. The lateral area is 8,580. That tells me which formula that I should start with. The lateral area formula that says lateral area is perimeter of the base times the slant height divided by 2. Now, in this case, we aren't given the perimeter, but of course, if we have the length of one of the sides of the base, if the length of this side is 66, then the perimeter, since it's a square base, is 66 4 times. 66 plus 66 plus 66 plus 66, or 66 times 4. So that gives me the 264. That is the perimeter. I've been given the lateral area, so I plug that into the formula, and I've got everything here except for the one thing that I will be able to find. So I do a little bit of algebra. I'll take this equation and multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of dividing by 2. 2 divided by 2 goes away. And then once I do that, I'll have 264 times the slant height equals 17,160. So I'll divide both sides by 264. And when I do that, I get my slant height of 65, which isn't what I'm looking for in the end, but I will need it in order to figure out other stuff. So I've got the slant height of 65. Remember, the slant height is the distance down here. So, well, I guess along this side, the pink side that I've got labeled here, that's 65. We also know that this side is 66. To find the volume that we're trying to figure out, we need to know what this height is here. Again, similar to what we did yesterday, I'll finish up this right triangle. If the length along the base is 66, then this length right here must be 33, and that gives us a right triangle where we have two of the three sides. The one that we're looking for is the height of the triangle, and so there's our right triangle. I've got it drawn again over here. Pythagorean theorem tells me that h squared plus 33 squared will equal 65 squared. And so I plug these numbers into my calculator. Subtract 1,089 from both sides in the algebra. And once I do that, I will have that the height squared, not the height, but the height squared is 3,136. So I plug into my calculator and ask for the square root of 3,136, and my calculator tells me that that is 56. So now I know that the height of the prism is 56, and I've got the formula for the volume of a prism, area of the base times the height divided by 3. Since I've got a square base with side lengths of 66, the area of the base is 66 times 66, 66 squared, times the height from the formula, and then divide by 3. And when I plug that into my calculator, I got 81,312 cubic units, whatever those are, units to the third power. So there we go. That's how one of the problems works. And that's the basic idea. I've got a couple others to go through with you guys today, but they're all kind of the same idea. Here's what we start with, and then work through the formulas to figure out what we're trying to find. So second one, the volume of the square pyramid is 4,320. I know what the height is, and they want me to find the surface area. So same idea. Start with this. The volume is 4,320. That's the formula that I will start with. Volume is area of the base times the height divided by 3. Again, a reminder from yesterday, divided by 3. There are 3 pyramids that would fill up one prism, and I did attach a video, a short little 2-minute video that shows you that it takes 3 pyramids to fill up a prism. But that's where the formula comes from. Plug in the volume, that's 4,380. I was given the height, so I can plug that into the formula, and right away I've got this equation. The only thing that I don't know is the area of the base. So I can go through and do a little bit of algebra to solve that. I'll multiply both sides by 3 to undo dividing by 3. And then once I've got that, I've got 12,960 equals 40 times b. Divide both sides by 40 to solve for the area of the base. And when I did that, I got 324. Now, the area of the base, because I have a square base, the area of this base is the length of the side squared, the length of the side times the length of the side, area of a square. And so this 324 is the side length squared. So to undo that squaring, I take the square root of both sides, and I find that the length of one of the sides is 18. Now again, that's not what we're looking for at the end of this problem. I need the surface area at the end, but now I've got the height that was given to me as 40. I've got this length right here. In order to find the surface area, I'm gonna have to find the slant height, but we've seen this before. If I know those two sides, I can complete the right triangle right here. If this side length is 18, then that side of the triangle is 9, half of 18. And there we go. There's another Pythagorean relationship. I've got a right triangle here, legs of 9 and 40. The hypotenuse is the slant height that I'm looking for. And so there's my triangle. 9 squared plus 40 squared equals the slant height squared. And then I just send it through the same Pythagorean theorem. 9 squared plus 40 squared, I plug into my calculator. I get 1,681. Undo the square by taking the square root. And I find that the slant height is 41. And so now that I know that the slant height is 41, I'll label that on my diagram here. To find the surface area, I need to do the lateral area plus the area of the base. I know what the area of the base is because I know that this side length was 18. So the area of the base will just be 18 times 18. I'll plug that in eventually, but first I need to figure out what the lateral area is because I haven't found that yet. So the lateral area formula, perimeter of the base times the slant height, and we can figure those things out. The perimeter of the base, we were given, or I'm sorry, we were able to calculate that this side length was 18. So if that side length is 18, the perimeter of the base, 18 plus 18 plus 18 plus 18, I put 18 times 4 times the slant height. We just found out with the Pythagorean theorem that that is 41. And so 18 times 4 times 41 divided by 2, there's my lateral area, 1,476. And now I can plug that into my surface area formula. Now I know the lateral area, and I can take that lateral area, 1476, plus the area of the base. Once again, the area of the base, 18 times 18, because it is a square, and add those together with your calculator. I got 1,800, and since I found an area, I'll say that that is square units, units squared, centimeters squared, inches squared, miles squared, whatever the problem is asking. All right, so again, plug in the formula, figure out what you're missing. You may need to use several different formulas, but use the information that you have to figure out which formula to use. One more for us today. I've got the lateral area this time. The lateral area of this square pyramid is 544. So the area of these 4 triangles is 544. And the surface area is 800. And they want me to find the volume. I'm going to use the formulas, but I'll just say quickly that if you're thinking about what this means, the area of all 4 of these triangles up here is 544. The area of everything is 800. Even without using a formula, you could figure out that if I just subtract 800 minus 544, that'll give me the area just of the base. And if that makes sense to you, go ahead and do that. If that doesn't make sense to you, let's go to the formulas. I've got the lateral area formula. Lateral area, I can plug in the 544 in place of the lateral area. The problem with this is I don't know the perimeter of the base. I also don't know the slant height, so there's too much that I don't know here. So I'm going to go with the other information that I know. Surface area is 800. My surface area formula says surface area is lateral area plus the area of the base. I know what the surface area is. I can plug that 800 in there. I don't know what the lateral area is. Oh, excuse me, I do know what that is. That's 544. And so the only thing that I don't know here is the area of the base. So that tells me that this formula is going to work better. I've got two things that I don't know in this formula. I've only got one thing that I don't know here. So after I plug in the numbers that I know, I can just subtract 544 from both sides and find that the area of the base is 256, which is what we got by just thinking about it on the previous slide. But here we got it using a formula. The area of the base is 256. Since the base is a square, that is side squared, so x squared is equal to 256. Once again, take the square root of both sides. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 256, my calculator told me, was 16. And as long as I'm at it, the perimeter of the base, if one of the sides is 16, the perimeter is 16 times 4. So that gives me something else that I can now plug into my lateral area formula. Now I know that the perimeter of the base is 64. And now the only thing that I don't know is the slant height. So when I plug in the 64 for a perimeter, when I plug in the 544 for the lateral area, because that was given to me in the first place, in this equation, I only don't know one thing, which is good. I can multiply both sides by 2. That gives me 1,088 on the left side, cancels out the 2's on the right, divide both sides by 64, and when I took 1,088 and divided by 64, I got a slant height of 17. That's not what we want at the end of the day, but we will need that to figure out other stuff. Slant height of 17. And we've seen this before. If this side is 17, if this side is 16, well then half of 16 gives me the bottom side of that triangle. Here comes Pythagorean theorem again. We're starting to get a feel for how these problems work. I need the height to find the volume, and the height is the third side of that right triangle. So 8 squared plus h squared equals 17 squared. When I plug that into my Pythagorean theorem formula, 8 squared is 64, 17 squared is 289, and then I subtract 64 from both sides. When I do that, I get 255, so h squared equals 255. That means h is the square root of 255, 225, which is 15. Also not what I want at the end, but I've got everything that I need at this point. The volume, what I'm looking for is the area of the base times the height. I already knew what the area of the base was, or if you thought about it as, since I found the side length was 15, no, that was 16, sorry, 16 squared. That's where the 256 came from the area of the base times the height, which we found on the previous slide, divided by 3. And then finally, there we go. Plug that into the formula, and I've got 1,280 cubic units, centimeters cubed, miles cubed, inches cubed, whatever the side lengths are. So that is how these problems work. Use your formulas. If a formula isn't working, that probably means that you need to plug something else in. But everything we need should be in the formulas that you have for volume, lateral area, and surface area. On Thursday, my plan is to just do one big pyramid problem, literally a big pyramid. We're going to take a look at the pyramids in Egypt. Here's a sneak preview if you want to start thinking about this. But I'm going to tell you how big that pyramid is, and I'm going to do two things with this. I want to figure out how much it's going to cost to build a pyramid that is this size using bricks that I found at Home Depot, and also how much would it cost to paint it if I'm using some really good durable exterior paints. But I'm going to save that for Thursday. That's what we'll do then. In the meantime, certainly, many of you have been getting a hold of me. I've been doing some Zoom conferences with some of you. Other people are asking questions through email. Hopefully, if you have a question, you are getting in touch with me. Otherwise, then you must be doing pretty well with this stuff. So keep up the good work, and I will talk to you on Thursday.